In this video, we're going to take a look at finding the average from a grouped frequency table. Now, this isn't exactly the same as a regular frequency table because it's really hard to be sure about our data. Let's take a look at this example and try to understand that. So, in this table, we've got the heights of 51 children, but we can't be sure of their exact heights. We can just say that, well, we have 6 children, for example, that have a height between 140 and 150 centimeters. And for example, we have maybe 21 children who have a height that falls between 160 and 170 centimeters. So we don't really know exactly what the heights are. So we're not going to be able to find the mean or any other average, but we will be able to estimate it. So if we're doing an estimate, then we need to make some presumptions. So let's start by saying, well, okay, we don't know exactly where these 6 students actually lie between 140 and 150. Let's just say that they all are the middle. And that is as good as we're going to get. So let's use a midpoint and let's use 145 right in the middle of 140 and 150. In the same way, let's say that we have 16 children, all with a height of 155, 21 students, all with a height of 165, and 8 students with a height of 175. And now we're going to be able to make an estimate for our averages, for our mean, using these figures. And that's a fairly safe assumption. We can hopefully be reasonably accurate if we take that midpoint. So in the same way as we've seen in a previous video, we need to multiply frequency by those values to determine our answer. So we're going to need to do 6 multiplied by 145 plus 16 multiplied by 155 plus 21 times 165 plus 8 multiplied by 175. And if we do that, we're going to have the sum of all the children, or an estimate of it anyway. So we're going to take that and divide by 51. And if we do that, we're going to have 161.07. Let's round that to the nearest centimeter. We're going to say that mean average is 161. Okay, so moving on, let's now work out an estimate for the median. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail here. We're just going to keep this very, very simple. So we have 51 children. So if we're imagining them all lined up in height order, well, we're going to be looking for the 26th child, because that child would have 25 other children shorter than them to the left, and 25 taller than them to the right. So if we can find that 26th child, that child will be our median. So let's count through the data. So the first 6 children, the smallest ones, are all between 140 and 150. Then the next 16, they're all between 150 and 160. So in total, that is going to be 22 children that are shorter than 160. So with a 21 here between 160 and 170, I am very confident that the child who is 26th in the list is between 160 and 170 centimeters. Now, we're not going to find exactly the answer here. We're estimating. So I'm going to leave this as my estimate. I'm estimating the child is somewhere between 160 and 170 centimeters. And for now, that is enough. Now, to find the modal class, we are looking again at one of these specific class intervals. Okay, so the one with the most in it is, of course, the 160 to 170, because there's 21 children in that class. So the estimate, or the modal class, is going to be 160 to 170, and that is all we need to do. Okay, I hope that helps you to navigate some of these group frequency tables, and hopefully you can now answer those questions.